I'm storyteller and author Pleasant de Spain, and you have a wonderful imagination. Welcome to Pleasant Journeys. My story for today is from Hungary, and it's called The Hero of Budapest. It's found in my Books of Nine Lives series, Volume 4, Tales of Heroes. Let's begin. Oh, it was some time ago that a young man named Ludwig left his little farm village and headed on the long road to Budapest. He was out to find his fortune, his calling, his way of being. And it had rained, and so the road was rather muddy, and it wasn't long before he came across an elderly man who was blind. And the old man said, young man, why don't we travel together? You can be my eyes, and in return, I will share stories with you. Oh, yes, said Ludwig, I will be your eyes. I love stories of adventure and narrow escapes. All right, said the old man. We'll do well. Now, I seem to hear some bells. Are we near a church? Right you are, said Ludwig. There's a big church not far away, and there's a big graveyard. Oh, do you know any scary, ghostly stories? Well, yes, he said, I do. I will share one with you tonight when the moon is full. Oh, good, said Ludwig. Now tell me, do you see any monks about? Monks can be very generous to poor travelers like ourselves. Sometimes they'll provide food or even a place to rest. Oh, well, said Ludwig, to be honest, I've never seen a monk, not before. So tell me, what does a monk look like? Oh, well, they wear dark brown robes, and they have a chain around their neck with a small wooden cross hanging below. Oh, well, Ludwig said, I think I see them now. What he saw was a small herd of dark brown cows. They had their chains around their necks with the bell hanging below, ringing. Oh, good, said the old man. Well, let's go up and talk with them. But what will I say? Asked Ludwig. Oh, you let me do the talking. I've had more experience with this. So Ludwig moved him into the center of the cows, and the old man said, oh, dear generous brothers of God, we greet you and ask if you might perhaps have just the smallest crust of bread to share with us. Well, the cows didn't respond except with a big moo. And that startled the old man. And he used his walking stick and he slammed it down on the rump of the nearest cow. And the cows all scattered and then ran down the road. Oh, they knocked the old man into the mud there on the road. Oh, he was angry, and Ludwig helped him up, but he said, you foolish boy, those were cows, not monks. I can't travel with a simpleton. I would rather have a thief as my partner. Oh, no, said Ludwig, but I'm not a simpleton. I just don't have any experience with the world. Not yet. Well, the old man left him, and Ludwig was on his own again, and he felt terrible. Yeah, how how in the world will I ever become a hero if I don't get to hear the stories? Well, it was still a long walk into Budapest, and it started to grow dark. And as it did get later, Ludwig became a little concerned. He heard their cries from the forest. There were squawks and there were roars. And he said to himself, I'm not frightened. No, I am not scared. No, not me. I'm not scared. And he was very frightened. And so he started running down the road, and it got darker and darker. Before long, he bounced right off of an empty barrel that was there in the road. And he thought, oh, I think I hear a wolf howling. Indeed, he did. So Ludwig jumped into the barrel, and there was a lid, and he put that on top. And the wolf loped on down the road, smelling her prey. And she got right up to the barrel and knew, there was someone inside, but she couldn't quite figure out how to get to Ludwig. So she circled around and around and finally jumped right up on top of the barrel's lid. And Ludwig, there was a hole in the top. He could see her tail swishing back and forth, and suddenly that tail dropped right down into that hole right next to Ludwig. And he did a very clever thing. He immediately tied that tail into a knot. Well, the wolf tried to get away, but she couldn't. So she jumped down off the barrel onto the road, and the barrel tipped over, and that began the wildest, bumpiest ride of Ludwig's life. She pulled him and the barrel all the way into the very center of Budapest. And it was morning now, and before long, there were people there on the street, and they saw an extraordinary sight. The wolf attached to the barrel by her tail, and the wolf was completely exhausted and could barely move. And the people wondered what was going on when, about that time, Ludwig opened the top and stepped out of the barrel. He looked at the small crowd around him. He said, "Oh, don't worry. She's exhausted, and she belongs back in the woods. I'll take her there later this morning." And an old woman in the crowd said, "Young man, if you were able to tame a wolf, well, then I think you're a hero. You're a hero to me." And yes, she said, "You're the hero of Budapest." And the small crowd started clapping and yelling approval. And Ludwig, well, his cheeks turned bright red, because even heroes can blush. There ends my story. Oh, it's a lot of fun to tell. I hope you enjoyed it. Be so kind as to give it a like. And if you would want to leave a comment, you know that I'll respond. And also, please subscribe if you haven't already. And down below, there's my website listed, and all of my books have a direct link on my website to Amazon.com. Thank you so much for listening. There are so many stories yet to tell. Another story to tell next week.